What is going on, Movie Meals? Movie Meals. Thank you, Movie Meal patrons, Kimberly, Karen. Go get some merch. If you help us get to 2,000, we're going to give you a free hoodie. The hoodie is far away from me at the moment, but we're back. We're back with the pod. This episode sounds like it's going to be a little loosey-goosey. There's not much movie news we really want to talk about. We might talk about maybe the second half of the year, maybe next time we discussed. I mean, what I would really love to just dive into is the lore and awesomeness that is the Sonic 3 trailer. But we all know Kyle will roll his eyes and yell at me, so we won't do that.
I wouldn't yell.
Oh, you'd scream at the top of those dang lungs of yours. So instead, we're going to talk some anime, which is always one of my faves. We're going to talk about, it's hard to tell, but it's actually right there. That's all the manga for Attack on Titan, baby. That's what we're here to talk about.
All
Kyle
of it?
just watched it. Of course, it's all of it. Yeah. So we're just gonna talk Attack on Titan. Kyle just finished it. It's one of my favorite animes of all time. Kyle's a simpleton when it comes to anime. I'm more in. I'm not full weeb yet. I don't know if I'll ever reach that status. I watch quite a bit, but I'm not necessarily diving so deep. I mean, obviously Naruto inspiration of my entire life, and obviously I am pretty big, and maybe I am a weeb. Maybe there's another word that they have for if you get even deeper than me. But if you really want to listen to some weebs talk, go check out my brother at Annie Essays. He's doing a phenomenal job over there. He's always dropping stuff. He just dropped something on JJK about Utah. Are you kidding me? Utah's I mean, apparently Utah's getting a lot of hate. I don't know what that's about. I don't read it, but hey, I love Utah. Anyway, we're here to talk KOT. Kyle's got no idea.
Might be the next anime I watch, though. We'll see.
JJK? You should.
Yeah, might be.
You should.
Per your recommendation, but...
Yep, you should. Well, it's also quick, and I know if you're looking for something fast, and then you can join everybody else who's watching it like me.
So it has finished, then?
The manga is just about to end. I think they've got 2 or 3 chapters left, which is why I think my brother started reading it so he could keep up with it being in the news and make some videos about it. But I don't read it. I've only watched it. So the show is just finished its 2nd season, 3rd season on the way.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yep. But Kyle, just give me your overall thoughts about Attack on Titan.
One of the most emotional roller coasters I think I've ever been on, to be honest with you. But I was blown away by how much of a roller coaster that was for me in terms of what the show was going for. I think thematically, after finishing the show, I see how riveting and powerful its themes are, and parallel to today's world still, which is, makes it all the more powerful, but just themes that have always been in the test of humanity as well, I would say, in terms of like themes of war, freedom, racism, those types of things have always been around and have always been prevalent in society. But, just for, what we're going through in today's age, like it just really hit me, I think, more than I was really prepared for. But I think it really helped with the storytelling in this as well. I was just very impressed. It was something that I've known with anime. Anime always seems to know how to get you hooked on even the most smallest of characters, that are able to find like something that pulls at your heartstrings about the characters, or something about like their personality that is able to draw you in and make you interested in the characters. But I think Attack on Titan is like one of the more stronger shows in general for me that I've seen really be able to do that, to where, there are some characters that kind of come and go to where I'm able to have like a strong reaction from them, even if like whether they last the whole show, whether they're not able to last the whole show. But I just was very impressed by not only the storytelling in this, but also just animation wise. I was obviously binging this show, so I was able to see like
you get a different experience.
Yeah, different experience, but also just able to see how far the animation came from the first season to the last season. Even though it was all seemed very strong to me, I could just see the growth and the importance that animation was when it comes to this story. And from just the most emotionally powerful character moments to like the biggest climactic battles, just all of it hits so well in the form of animation. And I just every episode I was getting more and more emotionally connected, whether it was like pure joy or just pure sadness and devastation for whatever it might be, or just like the mystery unfolding within the show was very, very impressive to me as well, which was also part of why I was so emotionally invested. Because when it comes to mysteries, I enjoy a good mystery. I enjoy like something unraveling slowly, but I wouldn't say that I get so hooked like in my feelings when it comes to like a mystery unraveling. But this show was able to do that, which was a nice touch, a very nice touch. Um, so I'll just cap it off with that, like just incredible all around. I know I'm late to the game on this one, everyone, but I see
That's
why
okay.
it's become so beloved
Well,
in
depends on who you ask.
just animation and anime. I would, at least in my opinion. But
So from this point on, I should have said it to begin with. All spoilers for Attack on Titan. It's been out for a while. All spoilers
yeah,
now at this point. We want to
I was
talk
the last
about it
person to
and
see
deep
it,
in.
so
Apparently.
yeah.
Well, I'll get. I started watching it. I watched it kind of on my own, and I was like, this might be too much for me. It might be a little too much gore. And that was back when I was a simpleton. That was before I really started to dive in. Now I'm watching some crazy horror movies with some of the most insane violence. But my brother was like, "Hey, you gotta actually sit down and watch it. It's really good." So I sat down and watched it, and that was only when the first two seasons were out, which I believe its first two seasons. Their order's so messed up, but it was whenever
Yes.
it ends with you finding out that there is a Titan inside the wall after Annie. They capture Annie. Annie goes into her
Yep.
crystal. That's where it ended for me for like 8 years or whatever it was, and we didn't get anything. Nothing.
Yeah.
There was nothing in terms of the show. You had to be reading it, and I didn't read it at that point. But then season 3 came out, and it kept coming out. And then they really wanted all the money in the world on season 4, the final season. They advertised it as the final season. Then when they premiered it, they were like, oh, guess what? It's actually not the final season. It's the final season part 1 of 3.
Oh.
And then they split the 3 parts months apart from each other. You can cite animation. They're sitting there and they're continuing to do animation for it. I think that's all a load of hogwash. I think they just wanted to keep it in the news, and they didn't want to lose something as big as Attack on Titan. I mean, it's huge how popular it was.
Right.
So before season 4 came out, I was like, I'm not doing this. I'm reading it. So I bought the last couple volumes, kind of on a whim, read it, and then proceeded to buy the whole thing and reread it. And then I've rewatched it probably 2 or 3 times since it finally came out. When it finished in the manga, there was a ton of hate. I mean, majority was, this is a horrible ending. We hate it.
I've heard.
And I honestly remember loving it. I was like, this is great. And even my brother was like, I don't think it's, well, he kind of went back and forth. He's like, I think it's really good. And then he was like, I don't know. It's, but I think I've always thought it was incredible. And as
now,
much
this
as
is the ending when you were reading the manga. That's what you said. Correct?
Show hadn't finished yet.
Gotcha.
And my brother made the point. He's like, let's see how people react when they watch it. And look, I'm a simpleton. I got a hard time reading them books, but I really was like, this is really good. And I'm glad there was rumors that it was so bad that they were going to change the ending of the anime. There was Isayama was apparently apologizing at some points at conferences or whatnot that people didn't love the ending. And then the anime came out, and suddenly it felt like everyone really loved the anime.
Okay.
And all of a sudden, we really love the ending. And now it's kind of just in the middle. You'll find plenty of people that love it. You'll find plenty of people that hate it. But I remember, I dipped my toe into this pool, so I do know what's, for the most part, kind of the vibes going on. But I mean, it literally went from this is the worst ending I've ever seen in my entire life to this is one of the best endings ever. I do think Attack on Titan might be one of the top 10 shows just of all time. I'm not sure there's a better show that is an onion. You just keep peeling layers back. And every time you think you're like, oh, I'm done, this onion's bigger and there's more to peel. There's just more and more. Every time I rewatch it, and I've rewatched it probably 6, 7, 8 times, and it's just incredible. There is some stuff that went over my head a little bit reading it that the show did help with. I mean, that is fair, but I think the ending overall does a great job ending off the story that needed to end. It needed to end that way. I think it needed, look, do we love that our main character goes and wipes out 80% of the population? I mean, to me, that it made a lot of sense for his arc. And they even get great moments where he talks to Armin and he talks to Mikasa about what could have been, why he did it, what the reason was. And it just dives more and more into the themes. And I've heard friends of ours have watched the show and been like, I don't understand what the theme is. What is the show trying to say? And I think it's just super simple. The show is just about what it means to be free. And it goes in one specific route of if this is the way something's going to be, if a people is going to be oppressed, in the narrative he set up in that story, how do they find that freedom off of that? And that's what Aaron's story is. He truly didn't believe they would ever be free if he didn't do the rumbling. And
well,
go ahead.
So
Chime
then
in.
I kind of want to see like what part of the ending wasn't to everyone's liking, because I know when I was watching the final season, I felt a frustration of seeing this turn from Aaron that felt almost out of character.
People felt it.
But I knew, because of how the show is structured, or how the show handles like characters and the reveals, that eventually an explanation, a flashback, whatever it might be, was coming to explain this. And then I did get that, and I did feel that it fit with his character, and especially fit with what he was witnessing when he finally, crossed the sea and he found like this other nation, this other city, and he was like seeing how everything was compared to what he had back home. And so that was making more sense to me. But then I remember now like flip-flopping between whether I like it or not, because I remember his conversation with Armin, like in their heads or in their minds when they were having like their big climactic battle. And like part of it was his reasoning that, like what you were just saying, like he knew that he had to do this in order to bring freedom, but at the same time it also sounded like he knew that he was doing this because he really wanted to do it. So it was like this, it felt like it was back and forth on like what the reasoning behind his
that shot right there. This was my phone background for a while. The freedom, baby. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
I did feel a little bit of like struggling to put it all together, because it felt like it was trying to have both of those reasons be the reason instead of just like choosing one or the other. But at the same time, it all just fits with Aaron as a character anyway. So I guess I was fine with the ending, just because no matter how I was looking at it, it still felt true to the character of Aaron. So
it does. And I'll say this on that point too. I'll say this on that point. The big issue that makes it feel slightly jarring that his character does kind of go 0 to 60 a little bit is because of the time skip. Because he kneels down, he grabs Historia's hand, and in that moment when he's looking freaked, he sees the future that he is about to enact. He sees that is what has to be done. Then it jumps in time. If you don't jump in time there, and Isayama continues to just kind of let those years go out as he creates more to the story, which wouldn't have made sense to me anyway, because there wasn't much more to do. It would have just been side missions of exploring the world. We've eradicated the Titans at this point that are coming to Paradis. So that's really why. It's going home for college and coming back, for a year and then coming home, and everybody's acting a little different. It's like I wasn't here to experience that, but it's still the same person, even though they have changed. So I think Aaron works really well overall. I think the story just does so many layers to literally.
I think this final season I was finally freaked out by the character of Aaron, because the past 3 seasons, or however, sorry, I think it's 3 seasons. I don't really remember now.
4,
but
technically.
Okay, so technically 4. The previous seasons in general, he was just so erratic to begin with. I was just used to it, so I was like, he doesn't scare me. Like, what? Even when he's in Titan form, he doesn't scare me.
He's a little kid, and he's like, I'll kill everybody.
Right, exactly. I'm like, anime protagonist, I get it. But, no, this final season where he's just so calm and so not that I was just like, something's bad about to happen here.
Man.
And as I said, I wasn't sure if I was gonna like it or not, like that change, but I think even though I feel conflicted, at the end of the day, I can look at it either way and go, that was kind of Aaron, though. That does kind of fit to me.
I mean, that is something Aaron would do. Aaron's never been opposed to murdering a bunch of people.
Yeah.
Man, the
Yeah.
moment when Aaron and Zeke are like kind of in the threads of time and they're looking at all this history of their dad, and Aaron and Zeke realizes how powerful Aaron's become and like the abilities Aaron has now and the hold he has over Ymir, and that he looks at his dad and he's like, no, you need to kill them. You need, and he gets right next to his face and his dad's like, I got to do that. Oh, it's so good. And even when Aaron breaks down to the little boy who doesn't speak his language that he saved, even though he knew he was going to die, he saved him anyway and breaks down and goes, I don't want to do this, but it's the only way I can be free. My people can be free. And it's just a really, really great adaptation of just freedom in general. Like if you're going to tell a story about oppressed people and you have all creative liberties and you're not telling something real, it's just great. I mean, man, we used to sit in a friend of ours' basement, my brother, him and I, and a bunch of other friends. We used to talk like, what if they weren't alone? What if they're on an island? Like all this stuff. And then, 5 years later, it finally gets confirmed. Like, it's just, the show is just so freaking good. I thought of something kind of fun I thought we could try if you want, sir.
Sure, let's do it.
Let's see here if it'll work. Can you see this?
Yeah, I just need to make it bigger, but yeah.
Let's have a little, let's do a little tier list. I think that would be a good time. Let's rate some characters.
Sure, all right.
Let's rate some characters.
I know I want to talk about some characters anyway.
And this would be a good segue.
You're going to have to remind me on... You're going to have to remind me on names,
you.
by the way.
Because there's a handful here that are, I mean, these are some, I don't even know if I remember everybody's names. Like, this is Grisha's mom, I'm pretty sure. No. That's, it's hard for me to see it here. But we don't even have to do everybody. We can just kind of do the main cast. Let's start with Annie. Where would you rank Annie? Is she FEDCBASS+. Where do you put her? Well, we'll kind of do a compromise battle here.
I'll put her at a safe B, but I'm glad that you brought her up because I loved her twist in like the first, what was it, season? Or in season 1 or 2,
two
whatever
seasons,
it was.
Yeah, where they find out that she's the female Titan or whatever.
Because for
so
me,
obvious too. Rewatching, you're like, how did we not figure it out? Same with Bertolt and Rhina.
Right. But that for me is one of those like first big drops of the show where I'm like, oh, there's more to this than I really thought. And, again, simpleton with this stuff, of course, but even still, like, her reveal, I was like, oh, well, now I really don't know, like, where this show is going or, like, what this means. Like, how many more people are, secretly Titans? Like, how normal of a thing is this? And then I also just... For me, it's not really that funny, but for me, I just found it humorous that they held on to her for so long of just being in, like, the ice crystal until the final season. Like, I genuinely thought they were just going to be like, that's a plot point we don't know what to use. We'll just...
Hey, it kind of hits, though. Like, when the characters are like, oh, wait a minute, everything has broken down, that must mean that Annie has as well. And like they realize it, and it's like you kind of forget that she's there at some point, especially for us who weren't binging it and we had to wait and wait and wait. You kind of forget that Annie's kind of back there, and you're like, oh shit, like,
that would have worked. Annie. That would have worked better. Whereas for me, as I was binging the show, I was like, well, it's about time.
I mean, I also had that feel as well. But all right, how about our boy Armin?
Armin S+.
Oh, absolutely. Big Armin fans around here. Love
day
Armin.
One, I knew.
I also liked Armin for day one. Nobody disagrees with you except for the wackos.
It was so obvious. Come on.
Well, let's also be clear here. Again, you binged it. When you only watch season 1 and you have to wait few years for season 2, especially in the dub, all Armin does pretty much in season 1 is yell Aaron. Most of the first season. So it makes sense that a lot of people found him annoying. Armin's great. His story, I think, is great, and the kind of soldier he turns into and the way his memories and Bertolt's feelings kind of intertwine, I think really does a great job.
Should I bring up my hot take now then?
About Bertolt?
About Armin?
Sure.
I am happy that he's the one that lived and not
A lot of people are.
the general.
A lot of people are.
Okay,
I
I thought it'd be in the
also-
minority, but
You might be. I don't know if I don't know if I know enough about the consensus really at this point. It's just been so
Sure.
long. I
That's
know.
fair.
I agree with you. I think
Yeah.
Levi made the right choice, and he made a great choice for Erwin, and he let Erwin go. He just let him do it. And when
Rightfully
Erwin
so.
raises his hand, and he's barely alive, and I love that moment for Levi. I think Levi making that decision to let his friend rest is really, really powerful. And a lot of people actually say that they think Erwin would have been in line with Aaron, that they don't think that Erwin would have stopped Aaron like Armin does, and how Armin convinces everyone. They think Erwin would have just let Aaron go and let him do it, take everybody out.
Interesting.
Which is really interesting. But all right, let's move on to Bertold here. What do you think about Bertold?
So Bertold is the one who initially had the colossal giant, right?
Colossal Titan. No one's a giant in these days. Here,
or
Tom.
yeah,
Come
excuse
on.
me. I
Wow.
should have it
Wow.
right. If after watching the show, I shouldn't
Wow.
misword it. I gotta be honest. C.
Maybe? Nah. Be good enough to be up there with Annie. I'd put him at B.
You think so? You tell me
Annie
why.
Annie does get a little bit more backstory than Bertold.
Yeah,
I just like Bertold. All right, I'll put him at C, but I'm not.
He's not a bad guy.
I like Bertold.
I don't know. It's like watching paint dry. He's just there.
It's not. That's mean. That's really mean. That's like an F. Now let's move over to Rhina. To me, Rhina's S+. I love Rhina. Rhina's incredible. Rhina would be a top 5 character for me. He's amazing. Right. Everything he does, I think, is just awesome. Especially once Aaron and him talk in that basement where what's the kid's name? It's Gabby and who?
It starts with like a W, doesn't it?
Falco.
What's his name? Wilbley?
Oh, no, it's Falco.
Wilbley. Okay, I'll take your word for it.
When Falco brings him to,
I'm bad with names. I'm sorry.
I am too, but it is Falco. When he brings him to the basement and they have that whole conversation, and Aaron's like, "I get it now. I get why you were conflicted. I get why your brain was splitting and why it was hard for you to rationalize what you're doing. I've lived with these people now. I've ate with these people. Like, I get it." But that doesn't change what has to happen. It's so good. And Rhina's such an interesting character with the way he first shows up and just the way it peels his layers back and everything. I think is just so beautiful. It's so good. I love him.
Yeah, just a character that had a lot of emotional conflicts. I mean, yeah, a lot of drama, whether it's doing what he thinks is the right thing for his people versus doing or having to turn his back on like his comrades that he grew with, even though he was like a spy, like that wasn't his mission. Just a lot of emotional turmoil going on. Very dimensional character. So yeah, I'll agree with you on S+. Why not?
All right, what about Connie? Where are you putting our boy Connie?
I'll do A. I'll do A. I like Connie.
I'll agree with you there.
I love Connie. Although the best character aside of Connie is Connie's mom, who shows up, who is talked about way too much on this show. Like, I couldn't believe.
You would talk a lot about your mom too if she was turned into a Titan and upside down in your house. Jeez, what the heck is wrong with you?
I guess I should. I'm trying to remember. Was the reveal of Connie's mom possibly being a Titan before Annie's reveal, or was that after? Because if it was before, that might have been.
No, they figure out Annie. That's after. That's in season 3 with all that stuff. That's when they're in the castle and his home is near. Sasha's home is near, and that's when everybody gets turned into Titans.
So that was
by
after.
Zeke. That Zeke turned everybody into Titans.
Oh my God, Zeke is that character wound up being better than I.
Zeke is very good too, and I'm Team Levi all day. Cut that boy's head right on off.
Oh, Levi, yeah,
we'll
Day
get there.
one. The Vision.
We'll
I saw it.
Why can't I figure out who this is? It's on the tip of my tongue. It's hard to see too. This
We
is
can
tiny.
skip them and go back.
Well, yeah, we'll stick to the main guys from now. Let's go to Aaron. Where do you put Aaron?
Yeah, I would put him at S tier, S plus.
I'd put him in S plus. I think Aaron's great. You
Yeah,
get no show without
I think you
Aaron.
have to. Yeah.
Yep, I agree. All right, where do you put Ervin Smith, our commander in general?
I will put him at C or D.
That is extremely incorrect. All right.
I know. Let's talk.
What is there to talk about, Kyle? You have closed off this conversation.
I don't know.
You're not open to any interpretation. You've forgotten everything he did. You were so Team Armin that you were like, this guy's a loser, and that's just not the point of the show. That's not how it works.
It was part of it. No, I don't know. Like,
it wasn't.
I remember parts of his backstory, and I just didn't find myself caring. I don't know. It just wasn't a character that they showed me who he was and what he stood for. And for me, I just wasn't on board with it.
They do show you what he's about and what he stands for.
I'm agreed. I'm just saying
I thought you said he didn't.
No, they did. But it just, for what I'm saying is that it didn't work for me. Like, I just didn't get an emotional connection to liking the character compared to like some of the others I have. I don't know. His story just wasn't it for me.
Ervin Smith legitimately should go down as one of the best generals ever put in like cinema. Like on the screen.
He has one speech. That means
he doesn't. He's got more than one. His speech when they all are signing up to be scouts is excellent. Him and his yellow, like he's yelling advance as his arm's getting torn off, and everyone's like, "That's our commander. That's our leader." And he yells back again, like, "I said advance." And he's screaming at him, and he's like, we need Aaron. He inspires the troops. Yes, he's got the one big speech that everybody talks about, and that speech is fantastic. But nothing. I mean, he is the brains behind everything. It was his plan to capture what's her face? Why am I just Annie? It's his plans to capture Annie. It's all his strategy before, when they mess up, and after, when they're in the streets. And he's out there just taking charge, and people are like, no, you can't do whatever you want. And he's like, well, you better go do this because she's going to destroy this entire city if you don't let me go help stop her. He saves Aaron from them. Could you imagine what happened without that? And he's got half one arm, and he's the one who saves Aaron at the end of the day. Are you kidding me?
He wasn't the one that said that they should put a rock in front of the hole, like in that first arc. Was that his idea?
No, that was Armin. That was Armin. Armin had the idea to pick up the boulder. I don't know why. Why did you want? What were you trying to say? That was a bad take?
I was just gonna make a dumb joke. Like, that's a bad plan, therefore he's a bad character. But it was Armin, and that means he's awesome.
It was a good plan. It's the best plan they had. It was either that or Titans would keep coming in, pal.
That rock arc was just so slow that I was just like, let's move on from this already. It took like 5 episodes or something, and then everything went up to like 1,000. So I was like, all right, I'll live with that. I'll move past it. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I guess he was just to me, he just felt like a background character in terms of what you're saying for like plans and stuff. But
what?
I just didn't.
How is
get anything
off him. Background character? Those are the plots. Those are the plots of seasons, Kyle. How can those be background plays? Those aren't background. That's the main plot of season 2. It's his plan.
Yeah, in terms of the character, though, I don't know. Like, he just didn't make an impact on me. I didn't get anything off him.
I love it. I love the stuff with his dad in the flashbacks where he talks about what his ambition is. He is so caught up in his own desires to see what the world would be like out there that he's willing to take risks that others aren't. And it just is such a great thing. It's just such a great thing what he's able to do and the strategies he brings. Oh, it's so freaking good. Well, we'll move on. You're crazy, and I'm leaving him in S tier. Ervin is awesome. Ervin's awesome.
All right, that's fine. I did like how you described his character, though.
Get out of here.
I did like how you described his character in that last part, like in terms of taking the risks and stuff. I like that point.
He does. He's the one who literally is like, we're gonna do it. No, even though we're probably gonna fail, we got to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And his dynamic with like the command he sets, the generals that are in place with him. Like, I mean, and obviously, yes, Levi does hit, but his relationship with Levi is so good. I love their dynamic. And to be honest, if you don't have Erwin, I don't think you really get as much of the greatness that is the hate Levi then has for Zeke. Like, so many of the great conversations with Levi and Zeke are really built on the shoulders of his relationship with Erwin, because it's Zeke's the one who took him out, and he wants revenge for it. It's so good. Oh, Erwin's great.
True. I did like that aspect of Levi. So
Gabby, there she goes, right into F. Let's go over to our boy.
Hold on.
Maybe girl, just depends. Oh, Kyle really does want to talk. If you were a fan of Attack on Titan, gear up for this one, pal. Go ahead, Kyle.
I'll look at the camera. I like Gabby.
Yeah, I don't mind Gabby. She's fine. She's not as bad as everybody says, but she is also not a great character.
If you want to put her at like C or D, I'll take that at least, but I don't view her...
The fact that you think she's on the same level of Erwin Smith makes me put her at E. That's insane. You said the same thing for Erwin Smith. C or D?
Hey, I was willing to play ball. Yeah, I don't think she's a bad character. I'll put
her at D.
Because of the time jump, we have a perspective again about the war and its conflicts from a child's point of view, while everyone else has grown up and has accepted that they have had to grow up themselves and have had to like face these challenges more as an adult than when they were as kids. I don't know if
Gabby should be considered a kid. She kills somebody in her first scene.
But that's also what I'm getting at, is that not only is it a kid's point of view, but it's a kid's point of view such as like the first few seasons that we had, where unfortunately they have to
they're supposed to represent
these things.
Yeah, they're supposed to represent Eren, Mikasa, and Armin at the beginning of season 1. With them, right? That's who they're supposed to represent. Yeah. No, I get what you're saying.
I do like those parallels of her character, and I also like that she goes through a journey of her own of like discovery that, you know, these people that she is told are like the devil, turns out that they're just the same as her. Like it's a good growth, it's a good arc. Yeah, I mean, it's probably an obvious one because like we as a society have grown so much into knowing like, hey, racism is stupid and terrible and we shouldn't think that way. But in terms of illustrating that, I think that it's a very good illustration of someone making that turn and making that realization, and that if they learn enough, like they can change themselves. So that's just what I've appreciated about her character. I understand that she's very like yelly and people don't really like that.
She's supposed to be like Eren.
Exactly. I'm like, then what about Eren? That guy was doing it for 3 seasons. You can't handle it for half a final season? Like, come on now.
Well, I think the big difference, her type of wine and Eren's type of wine are different. She's also not turning into a Titan within the first 5 episodes, and then you have that mystery of like what's going on here that keeps you invested in the story, that allows you to get past the whininess that Armin and Eren both display in the beginning of the seasons, and rightfully so. But Gabby, Falco, and the other kids do represent She's supposed to represent the other side of the coin that is Eren. She very quickly learns everything that Eren learns over 4 seasons. She learns it very fast throughout that season, and that we shouldn't treat people a certain way, and we should treat them with kindness, and that we shouldn't act like this. But also, like Eren, she has a hard time forgiving what people are doing. And I think I think she's fine. D's fine with me. But she does, like, it does kind of happen so quickly, and then she also kills one of the most beloved characters in the show that then immediately rubs people the wrong way too. People are like, who is this girl? And I think where a lot of her hate also comes from is people just not loving the fact that there was suddenly a time jump. Like, you're fine that you wait 6 years or whatever it was for season 4, and the first thing you get is this kid Falco and Gabby running in a trench, and you're like, where are my people? Where's everybody else? But I mean,
get that at least, like, especially with the long wait. And then there's a lot of episodes where it's focused on Gabby and Falco and some of the other characters that we probably didn't see coming into this season. And then it takes us forever to figure out, like, where is Eren? Where is Armin? Where is Mikasa? Where are these people that I've been watching for these past like 10 years or whatever the heck long this show has been going on for.
Oh,
So
too long.
I get that to where
like
it's like a
2013.
whiplash, but
I
don't know.
moved Ervin down to S. That's the little I'll compromise with you.
All right, I'll take it.
What about Hanji? Love Hanji. Where do you rate Hanji?
I do love Hanji.
We all do.
S or A? What do you think, Al? I'm willing to go with either one.
I'd put her at S.
Good. I was hoping you'd say that.
I like her more than I like all of the characters below her. Her and Ervin I probably like on the same wavelength. Yeah. I fight hard for Ervin, but I don't think Ervin would be in my top 5 characters. He'd be in my top 10, but I don't know if he'd be in my top 5. Sure. I would follow him anywhere, though. I would follow the man anywhere. We'll skip around.
I'd follow Hanji more, that's for sure.
What about Jean?
She really popped. Jean? Which one was Jean again? I'm sorry.
Our main boy. He's like kind of always been there. He like also kind of had a crush for Mikasa. He's kind of been like the fort to Eren all the time. He's the other one of the soldiers. I don't know really how else to explain it to you.
Was he Connie's friend? Like
he's everybody's friend. He's the one who always fights with Eren all the time in their little group. He's the one that was really good friends with the kid that Bertold ended up killing, and then Annie took his ODM gear.
Okay. Yeah,
Jean's great. I love Jean.
Where did we put Connie at? Was that one A?
A, yeah. Oh, Jean's definitely
probably do that.
Jean's better than Connie.
Okay, thanks for the reminder. Yeah, I'll put him at A too.
Who do I want to skip around to next here? Well, we might as well do it. What about Levi?
S plus.
Oh, definitely. Levi's awesome.
Plus.
And look, I actually do agree with some people's complaints that it's like, all right, how powerful can Levi really be? He got blown up and he still survives. I get it. Yeah. It's a plot hole I'm willing to accept because I love that he's still there. He's such a great character.
Sometimes things are just too cool that you have to accept the bullcrap. You know what I mean? Like sometimes it's really something is too cool. Stretch, but sure, he's also fighting 20-foot tall people. Like, let's suspend our disbelief just a bit. But I get it. By the time he got really wrecked in the final season, I was like, he's got to croak at some time, right? But
and boy, it makes it so satisfying when Zeke is like, Levi, I'm over here, and it just immediately cuts, and it's his head being chopped off. And Levi was like, I'm no longer going to play nice to this guy, because Levi could have just killed Zeke the moment he met him. Easily. True. When Levi shows up, after the best speech ever, and they're all storming the battlefield, and that fight, it's so good, especially when Zeke's like, wait, what happened to my Titans? What? Yeah. And then the little flashback, a single soldier could pose a threat to me? Yeah, Levi's dangerous. You got to watch out for him. And he's like, really? Is this Levi? And then he keeps trying to do something he can't harden in time. He's like, where'd my eyes go? Now I'm on the ground? What happened? And then when he stabs the blade through his mouth, and he's like, I asked you a question. Oh, it's so freaking good. It's so good.
I know I could never, ever make like a top 10 list of like the best fights in this show, but I think his single battle versus all those Titans and Zeke, that might be in top 5. Just off the bat of thinking about it. Yeah.
It's so good. And it just, I think gets even better. One of my favorite shots in all of manga history, especially in the panel in the manga, and I don't think it actually hits as hard in the anime, but it still hits pretty hard, is when Zeke escapes. He yells all these Titans to attack. We know Levi doesn't have much gas left in his ODM gear. And then Zeke looks up at the wall, and he's covered in blood with the steam coming off him. And Zeke's like, oh my gosh, this Levi really is a monster. Yeah. Like, oh my gosh. And if it wasn't for this decision with Ervin and Armin, really, in that argument, honestly, Zeke probably would have, or if he would have gotten the gas, he probably would have ended up taking Zeke out. And then when they talk about their philosophies and stuff in the forest, it's so good. Levi is such a good character. Kyle, you probably haven't, but you should look up on YouTube, type in Attack on Titan OVA Levi God Mode. And there's a little there's a little like side story video that was made and published that is all canon about Levi's backstory, and it's just a little bit of something, but it's really good. It's like him when he first gets into the Scouts. It's really good. You should check it out.
Attack on Titan Levi.
Just type in Levi God mode, and you honestly just watching the clip would be pretty chill. But you got to do that on your own time. We're moving on. Let's go to Mikasa.
I just want to save it.
Let's go to Mikasa. Where do you put
Mikasa? Yeah, I'd throw her on S+, in my opinion. S or S+. Right choice. No, Alex, you talked to me about her. What do you like most about her?
Hello?
Yeah.
Why? Why do you want me to talk about her?
Well, no, I'm just sharing the love, baby. I want to hear your thoughts on her.
I love Mikasa. I think she's great. I love her dynamic with Eren. It's so very obvious that she's madly in love with Eren, and Eren loves her when they're kids. I think they do a great job of showing that without needing to spoon feed you with weird scenes throughout the whole thing. Their final scene together is so good that it's basically really just a conversation of, I want to, like, this is the life we could have had together. And they spend that time in that dream state together doing it instead of him doing a super deep explanation like he does with Armin. And he does some with it with her, but he actually just lives his life out. And then when he admits it to Armin and Armin punches him and all that stuff, oh, it's so good. They're just a great trio. Out of all the great trios in anime, they are one of the best. And she's an Ackerman. She's a badass. Like, what's not to love about Mikasa? I think she's great.
No, true. I mean, I thought she was not only a great fighter, but at times almost a great leader. Like, maybe not a leader in terms of, like, you know, military strategy or like coming up with solutions, but just being a leader in terms of like getting people in the headspace. Like, she just had, even though she was scared, like, she just had a calm outside demeanor that I think was just like a good indicator that she knows how to like get others around her to feel the same way. Like, even in like your most terrified of moments and your most anxiety ridden of moments, like, still fight on. That's just what I was able to see in that character that I really appreciated. And yeah, I don't know. Alex, I'm gonna admit something that makes me feel like an idiot. I was kind of shocked that the show
so far has been kind of dumb. I'm just kidding.
Well, that's probably true too, though.
What?
Mikasa was not surprising that she loved Eren. I was a little shocked that Eren reciprocated. I was a little surprised. I questioned it, but I didn't feel like I was. But I don't know. Maybe I have to look back on the show. But there was times where I was like, maybe, but I didn't really feel it as much as I did with Mikasa. Not that was a bad thing, but it just surprised me.
I mean, there's definitely the feel, especially in the first 2-3 seasons of the fact that she is chasing after him all the time. And it's really easy to show that that's why she loves him. And I mean, even Levi says, oh, you love him, don't you? But Eren is so caught up in his desires and his goals. And all that, that I think when you finally do get to the moment where he goes, of course I loved her, to Armin, and he says it to Armin, he's like, of course I loved her. I don't want her to be with anyone else. I wanted her to be with me. It just shows that at the end of the day, this whiny little brat who wanted to kill the whole world and then pretty much did it, really at the end of the day, what he really wanted was just to be with Mikasa. And I think it just hits even harder. And the way they do that, and they set up the fact that it really is her just chasing after him the whole show, I think it makes that scene hit so much harder than it would have. Yeah. But that's just me.
What did you... So, I guess I'll ask this then. I remember in the final season, he was berating Armin and Mikasa in that room when he like launches his first attack, and he was saying that like something to do with her blood makes her go after him all the time or like be by his side all the time or something like that. So that wasn't true, right? It was just that he knows
in the lore the Ackermans are considered the like guardians and protectors, and that when that their kind of thing is unlocked in their head, which happens to Levi, and his person is Erwin, and then it also happens with Kenny, which was the king before King Grisha or whoever, I don't remember his name, not Grisha. Grisha's was Aaron's dad. But the king, that when you get Kenny's backstory, that Kenny also is like, he kind of unlocks that Ackerman, that intense nature for him and wants to be his sword. And so there is some truth to what Aaron is saying, but he was also just saying it to push them all away.
Okay. I kind of wondered if it was a pushing away thing rather than like a answer to a mystery type of thing. So I like that more.
It's definitely just, I think, to push him away. And
well, I guess it was kind of silly to like try to do that, but I don't know. It was just such a thing that was thrown there to like, I understand, throw off Mikasa.
Well, you can look at it from Aaron's perspective.
It just didn't click
Aaron
for me.
saw the entire future play out. So to him, he probably had to do that in order for them to get more upset with him to continue to chase after him. Because at that moment, they're like, Aaron, you can talk to us. Like, you got to negotiate. And it's like, he's got no choice. He's got to just kind of be a little violent towards them and be like, no, I'm not. Because he needs them to chase after him. But right now, they're not. They're just saying, let's sit down and talk about it. And so I think that the scene works really well because of that reason. And it does sink because you're like, Aaron, no, those are your friends. Run away together. But what about Zeke? Where do you rank Zeke?
I would throw him at S+ myself.
A or S.
You want to put him
I
at
like
S?
Zeke a lot. He's not one of the top 5 characters on Attack on Titan, though.
I guess the way
baseball around, gosh.
I just was surprised by the turnout of Zeke's character. I thought that it would headed in a direction that was probably the more like obvious direction, I guess, in terms of him just being like the big bad in a sense, but he really had more depth to his character than I realized, and his connection with Aaron was great, but seeing like the tides almost flipped with Aaron having to be the one to like wreck everything versus Zeke becoming that. I don't know. I just really liked that juxtaposition of how those characters wound
Zeke's
up being.
plan is dumb.
So I think that's... You think Zeke's plan is dumb?
The euthanasia plan, not for me. I do love... I know I really like Zeke a lot. I don't think he's an S+ character, but I think S and A is a good spot for Zeke. I think he's great. And to be honest, the only reason I think Zeke is as good as he is because of how his relationship with Levi and Aaron are. It's really just, he's just also a stepping stone for their characters to grow even more. Like when Zeke is so cocky constantly, and even though he continues to get his butt absolutely whooped, he still thinks he's the best guy in the room and the smartest guy in the room, and he constantly gets taken out by it. Yeah. I mean, he has this whole plan. He takes Aaron all over his dad's memories with him, and then Aaron just says, you don't... Oh, they're so good. So good.
I love those episodes. I think that was it for me, where I was like, this is one of my favorite characters. I don't know.
Zeke is great.
I understand what you're saying in terms of the stepping stone thing.
I mean, like, the moment where he's like, no, she'll do whatever I want. Ymir's a slave to me. And Aaron's like, you don't understand what being a slave truly feels like, Zeke. And Zeke does, his family was too. I mean, they're half brothers, and they both are people that are being persecuted. But Aaron's like, you still don't even get it. And he tells you, when he yells at Ymir and goes, you don't have to do anything for anyone. Do what you want to do. And that's really, and Zeke's like, that's why Aaron came here, was to tell her that. And then she gives Aaron the ability instead. It's just, it's so good. It's so good. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm actually going to stop sharing it there. I know we got a lot of, there were a lot of other characters left, but we are kind of getting towards the end here. So was there any other thoughts you had about Attack you wanted to kind of get out at the end of our episode here?
Just like I said, fantastic. I'm so happy I was finally able to sit down and watch this thing. Makes me more curious about anime and also manga, kind of. I mean, I've been getting into reading comics again, and I don't know. I might try my hand at manga one of these days.
Love it. Love it. I do not recommend Boruto, and I will stand my ground. And guess what? I'm caught up.
Darn, that was my first choice.
I would recommend Naruto. But All right. Yeah, guys, what do you think of Attack on Titan? Give us all your thoughts, your speculations, your hatred, your love for it. We want to hear it. The tier list was fun. We might do more of those. That might be kind of a fun little thing to do here and
Sure,
there.
why not?
But all right, guys, what did
Mhm.
you think? Comment below, let us know. And thank you, Moo Meal patrons. And as always, thanks for watching, Mom.
See you guys.
Stop it.